But let's go straight to this Federal Executive Council, which they authorized the Buhari's administration to proceed to prepare, ratify, and submit the country's full agreement of the new Pan-African trade deal called the AfCFTA. Joining me to discuss this breaking news is the important development and what should follow is the Director General of the Nigerian Office of Trade Negotiation, Victor Liman. He is also Nigeria's Chief Trade Negotiator. Is joining me live from our Abuja studios. Good evening. Thanks for coming through, sir, and congratulations. Let's start from there.
Hi, good evening, Brother. How are you?
Thank you very much. Congratulations once again. So what are the next steps to put a lifeline to this ratification approval by the Federal Executive Council?
Well, yes. First of all, let me just give a bit of background. It's the president that actually authorizes. I mean, in council, chairing the council, and then authorize the ratification, which would then be sent to the Minister of Justice. It's not the council does not authorize the president authorizes. And then secondly, I mean, I would say that this is remarkable. It's remarkable there, and I thank Mr. President and his entire cabinet for this very, very historical milestone, this historical step that they have taken, because the world was actually waiting for Nigeria to take this step. And Mr. President has taken one step that would last for a lifetime. That kudos goes to him, and that thanks also goes to the minister. And most importantly, this is remarkable for the minister. Both ministers is going to stay with them forever. And thirdly, you know, my former boss, Ambassador Chido Sakwe, would have loved to see this day. It would have been a great day for him. So it's good to acknowledge the fallen hero. He died. He gave his life fighting for AfCFTA. So he would have so much loved to see this. May his soul rest in peace. Having said that, now the president has authorized the ratification of the AfCFTA. What would then happen is that it will then go to the Minister of the Director will then go to the Minister of Justice. That's the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, who would then prepare the instruments of ratification. And then when that is done, they would then have to go back to the FEC, and then the FEC will then go through it, and then they will then deposit the instrument of ratification with the AU, the African Union Commission. So that is the first step to take. However, during our meeting, during the meeting of chief trade negotiators, as you know, every country has the chief trade negotiator, including African countries, and they are of DG positions, or some of them are directors. And so when I announced this to them during the meeting, they were everyone erupted in joy and said, yes, the big brother has finally come. So it gives us a much more stronger position within the AfCFTA framework and negotiations, and of course implementation of the AfCFTA itself. We now have a very strong position or footing to say, yes, we have ratified the AfCFTA. We are a state party of the AfCFTA. Even though we bettered the AfCFTA, I could rightly say that Nigeria, the AfCFTA is Nigeria's sweat and blood, because we bettered it. Ambassador Chido Sakwe, bless memory, was the chair of the negotiation forum, and the then Edelema Okechukwu was the then chair of the African Ministers of Trade. So it was during this time, as you can recall, in Kigali, that was in 2018, in particular March 21st, 2018, that the AfCFTA was signed by African countries in Kigali. So we bettered it back to back, and that credit, and the continent has not denied that credit to Nigeria. We contributed fundamentally, most importantly, to the success of the AfCFTA today. That's where we are.
Let's return to the big story around Nigeria's Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari today made history asking the Federal Executive Council to join him in ratifying the new AfCFTA and submit the necessary papers to the African Union before the deadline on the 5th of December. The Director General of the Nigerian Office of Trade Negotiation and the Chief Negotiator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Victor Liman joins us from Abuja Studios. Thank you so much, Mr. Liman, for this conversation. Thank you very much for giving us the time to listen to President Ramaphosa there. Very important point he was making, and I think we should also continue to observe those virus protocols. But let's quickly continue with the AfCFTA. How do you think Nigeria will handle the AfCFTA within the context of other contentious trade policies that we have with the European Union and within the ECOWAS sub-region?
Well, first of all, I think our major focus now is AfCFTA, because they're looking at the market size of 1.3 billion people. They're looking at about 3.4 trillion GDP and over 4 trillion expected investment. So it's big market. And as you're aware that intra-Africa trade currently hovers between 15, 16, 17%, and that's abysmal. That's very poor when you want to compare this with other regions around the world. I thought to that extent, therefore, our focus would be to ensure that we grow an intra-African trade. We boost it from 16, 17 to about 25. As it has been forecasted that in 2025 that we should be able to move up to about 20-something%, and perhaps in the next couple of years we should be able to move up to 50%. So if we are able to trade amongst ourselves up to the extent of 50, 60, 70% or thereabout, you are looking at a market size that would almost accommodate our trading interests without necessarily having to go outside of Africa. So therefore, I think we need to put almost everything to making sure that the AfCFTA works. We need to put in place the right rules to ensure that we avoid third countries or other kinds of malfeasance affecting our trade interests or injuring our trade interests. That means we need to be able to put our house in order in terms of our borders. Needs to be in place. We need to be more competitive. We need to be able to ramp up on our manufacturers. We need to be able to have the right kind of regulations, the right kind of policies to ensure that people are able to engage in the AfCFTA when it finally takes off. So there's a whole lot to be done.
Yes. So that's why my point.
There are challenges, but there's a whole lot.
I know there's a whole lot to be done. And the next question I actually wanted to ask you, which you just already trailing into, it has to do with the private sector, the role of the private sector. What conversations are ongoing or should be ongoing by now between the government and the private sector, within the private sector itself, and the relevant ministries and MDAs, as it were, to get this AfCFTA up and running once we have Mr. President's approval, which we've already gotten?
Yes. The President has taken a very big step. And that step can properly position Nigeria, and as well as the continent, on a very good pedestal. My office, we've been interfacing, we've been speaking and working with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. We've been working with other critical stakeholders across board. First, to let them know the contents of the agreement itself and what they're expected to do going forward in terms of the rules of origin. What content, what value addition are they expected to add to anything that is imported outside of the continent, or in terms of the wholly obtained principle, or even the originating principle. So we work with stakeholders to properly prepare them, but that is not enough, because you need access to credit for MSMEs to be able to produce, for MSMEs to be able to stay competitive, for MSMEs to be able to have access to the regional value chains. You also need infrastructure in terms of road, in terms of electricity, in terms of other kinds of infrastructure. And you know, within Nigeria, the current government is taking steps to address infrastructural issues such as electricity, such as, of course, the railway system. That is, Mr. President has commissioned a couple of railways across the country. These are steps preparatory to ensuring that we have a very good outing when we go into when we start trade on the 1st of January 2021. But, this can never be achieved in just one day. We have to be consistent in our policy. We have to be coherent in our regulatory arrangement and frameworks, and we also have to ensure that we are inclusive in the way that we work with every stakeholder across board. One of the key things also that is very important is to also is to move away from the relative informality of trade to a bit of formality of trade, because what that would give the government is an idea of how many MSMEs or how many MSMEs are in existence, the idea of what the volume of informal trade that goes on along the Nigerian trading corridors. It gives the government an idea as to what kinds of policies to put in place, the government as to what kind of intervention to put in place, because you need to be able to have a credible data in order to make a much more informed decision and judgment. So the informal sector, as you know, is a very big sector in Nigeria. But then that needs to be properly captured.
I agree. I agree
therefore means that.
I agree with you, Mr. Director General. So that we can touch on, because the informal trade just go therefore to the land border trade across Nigeria and across Africa, which is a major one. Again, so that brings us to the land border closure, which is the final point with you tonight, as we congratulate ourselves on this milestone. When are we reopening the land borders, and how does it fall within the new AfCFTA? How do we move forward?
Well, Boston, we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic that if our borders are not secure, then we have not just a trade problem, but we also have a national security problem. We have insurgency problems. So every country needs to take steps to ensure that they put together a credible, secure border, put together a policy framework that ensures that people can trade freely across the border without any form of fear or encumbrance. To that extent, therefore, I believe and I know that Nigeria is working round the clock to ensure that our borders are secure from smugglers, our borders are secured from small and light weapons, our borders are secure from the inflow of criminal elements. None of those who come into Nigeria and cause trouble, and then we would put them on Nigerians and say these are the headers, and these are cattle headers and all of that. But all this will flow in from neighboring countries, and so I think there is need for us to really sit together amongst ourselves, not just Nigeria, but also within the region, and of course at the continental level, and say, if you do not secure your border, and criminal elements or our markets are abused or exposed to infractions, then we would do this. We would do A, B, Z. We would place a sanction on you. So every stakeholder needs to take this on board to ensure that we need to have a secure border, a border where we can go to sleep and say, you know what, our borders are secure. In simple terms, because it's important. It's important we build trust, Boston. We need to build trust.
But then we will not go into the AfCFTA
to secure the borders.
We will not go into the AfCFTA with the land borders closed, would we?
the fact that you're going into a free trade arrangement doesn't mean that you cannot take steps to secure your country, or you cannot take steps to address injurious trade malpractices, or you wouldn't take steps to address smuggling, or you wouldn't take steps to address national security issues. These are sovereign issues, credible sovereign issues that countries can take steps to address. And yes, we're going into the AfCFTA, but again, the reason why we need to take our time and ensure that our borders are working and ensure that we have an effective customs administration, customs management, and cooperation, not just but cooperation and cooperative assistance across the ECOWAS region and across the continent as well. It's important that our customs work together to address these issues across board, and not just Nigeria. So certainly the borders will be open at when we are sure and confident that we can trust our neighbors or our neighboring countries, or that we can trust others not to come in and dump on our market and bring in substandard products and bring yes, go ahead.
Let's leave it there for tonight.
Go ahead,
Mr. Director General. Thank you so much, Nigeria's Chief Trade Negotiator and Director General of the NOTN. Thank you so much, Victor Liman, for speaking with us, the first television interview since those announcements were made earlier today.